Welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending upon which time zone and from wherever you are watching us, and later on you would be listening to us. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time, this is your host and Coach Sisodia, and welcome to Season 5, Episode 4 of the Stories of Opportunity. Every week we come out with curated speakers, and today is a special day because today I have a very good friend of mine. I will shortly be introducing my very good friend, our speaker for the day, Suparna Banerjee. Now, before that, if you are tuning in for the first time, I would encourage you to do post in your comments in the comment section, in the chat, and we would love to take your questions. I'm Aditya Sisodia. I'm an internationally certified coach. I'm into transition. I support people with mentoring, training, and also consulting. My friend Suparna Banerjee, and I'm really pleased to share about her. Suparna is an entrepreneur turned International Coach Federation certified leadership coach. Suparna works with executives to help them aspire and discover their true potential. And the best part about Suparna is that she is on a mission to transform leaders into their authentic personal and professional identity and creating a powerful alignment between who they are and what they want to do. Suparna would be sharing more about this. The best part is Suparna has done her majors from Sri Ram College, Delhi University in psychology. And psychology is one of her favorite topics. Suparna is passionate about leadership and its component. Suparna works with entrepreneurs, founders, co-founders, MNC heads, and she helps. Personally, Suparna has also coached me in the past through her thought-provoking creative conversation that really helped me to transform. And this was one of the triggers as to why I invited Suparna for our Season 5, Episode 4. In our today's topic, Suparna would be talking about how we can catapult in COVID, thriving through turbulent times. Suparna is also the founder of Shyft Consulting, where she supports people with a system of reflective self-inquiring, mindfulness, conversation tool. Now, without further ado, let's roll the intro and meet our speaker on the other side. Hi, Suparna. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Hi, Aditya. What a pleasure and an honor. And thank you so much for inviting me for this show. Two coaches in a conversation is always great fun. That's what we do best. So
Likewise.
Thanks a lot.
My pleasure, Suparna. And I was really looking forward to this conversation. It's been a while since we connected. And one of the intention of inviting you was it is always enlightening to have this conversation with you. I got a bit selfish and I was like, why don't we digitize our conversation and bring it in the public domain? So here we are today.
Sure, Aditya. Why not? So you want me to start with the topic? Because I did spend a lot of time thinking as to what would be relevant and a burning topic, in fact, for today. And catapulting through COVID and thriving in turbulence, this kind of just dropped when I was brainstorming. And I realized that this topic has been brewing inside me for some time. It's been like 18 months into the pandemic. And I thought that it's also a good hook, for the attention of people, because we're really looking at, my lens of looking at things is a coach's lens. So I look at the learning opportunity in situations, even in disruptions. And I think that COVID has been some kind of a, master coach in so many ways. We'll talk about that. So yeah, this is a hook. And there is actually a question hidden inside the topic. If we add a how to, how to catapult through COVID, how to thrive in turbulence. And as coaches, we keep asking questions which kind of give breakthroughs. And I'm hoping that this conversation would nudge something inside our viewers and the audience in terms of what could be so different about something which has been so obviously devastating and destructive. So I took this question to my daughter. She's my sounding board, and I went to her and I asked her, what do you think you have gained out of the pandemic experience? And Aditya, she gave me this very strange look, almost angry. Mama, how can you ask a question like this at a time when people have lost their lives? So I realized that it is a sensitive time to ask a question like this. And yet, at the same time, there is no looking away from the fact that the COVID pandemic has been one of the most defining events in this century. And it's going to turn around a lot of things. So what do we do, catastrophic events like these, they are also great learning and transformational opportunities. Now, if we look back in history and we look back at the other events of the century, if we look at the world wars, we would see that they have given us some of the greatest inventions, which we take for granted today. Like the life-saving antibiotics, the penicillin, the invention of the penicillin. We're looking at the computers. We're doing this on a computer, right? The internet, the jet engines, the jet engine age, it came from the wars. These inventions, ordinary things like the ballpoint pen, it was invented so that Air Force pilots can write smudge-free at very high altitudes. Look at something like coffee, dry coffee, freeze-dried coffee was invented, is an invention of the war because you couldn't take liquid. Canned food. I mean, it goes on and on. The ATM. So a pandemic is not without its gifts, they're hidden. And sometimes it takes time, to step back and see what have we got. So yeah, coming to the COVID pandemic, I think we're already making great strides in the vaccine inventions. And we are reinventing many of the things which we've taken for granted. So let's look at the way we're reinventing the way we work, the way we live. So one of the things which is glaring, there's nobody who's not touched with this, is how the workplaces are being reinvented. Businesses are being reinvented, customer behavior, buying behavior is totally radically changed. But let's look at employee, let's look at, you and me and other people. We're working from home for the last 18 months. It's a mixed hybrid model now. Whenever there's a lockdown, it's complete work from home. And this entire thing of remote working, which in a sense we were kind of flirting with earlier, it was on the periphery, now it's bang in the middle. And it's working out, people, they've suddenly realized that you can free up so much time, energy and spend it differently. You're not locked in traffic snarls on the road. There's precious fuels. We're consuming less of that. The air is cleaner. I mean, it's a win-win for organizations, the investments in infrastructure. Now, there's a big question there. Why do we need to spend so much? So it's made the entire process very efficient. And there won't be a going back to how things were. There'll be a hybrid model. There will be that bit of, remote, a significant part would be remote working, and some part would be definitely, okay, where you need to see people face to face and social interaction, there would be that in-person office thing. So future of work has radically changed, is reset. 70%, 70 to 80% of people don't want to go back to work in the way that they were working. And 30% apparently are actually contemplating quitting if they are forced to go back to work the way things were. So that's a big shift. That's like a catapulting and to another space altogether. Now, if we look at how we live, let's look at our eating habits. We knew for a long time that how important it is to eat healthy. It's nothing new, but till the COVID happened, changing habits was either incremental or it was very tough. You had to have your fruits, vegetables. It's better to have millets to avoid carbohydrates. It's, then suddenly with the COVID, we understood the direct impact between nutrition and our immune system. And overnight, we flipped. Practically, we started drinking kada, we had haldi doodh, we had traditional, ingredients. We understood the relationship between the gut health and the immune system, what you're putting inside our bodies. And just like that, so in that sense, as a coach, when we try and induce change in behavior and habits and all, and we do the gentle nudging, COVID has come like a huge force. It's kind of just hurtled. Like there's no choice, you do or you die. So sometimes you need that brute force to change things. And COVID has definitely been something as strong as that, very impactful. Now look at our physical fitness. We started exercising, we started doing our yogasana, our pranayam, breathing techniques, lungs. COVID bang in the center is the lungs. So that went for a major reset. And I don't think we'll go back to the lazy old selves. We are more conscious. We're definitely more mindful of our habits there. So yeah, suddenly Baba Ramdev is no longer funny. That's the kind of shift. There are no jokes. And the other major area of catapulting or a reshift is actually been in mental health. Massive change there. When the COVID pandemic happened, mental health is like a taboo thing. There's a lot of stigma attached to it. Whatever was under the carpet, suddenly it flipped and it was sitting on top of the table, because the systemic pressure on individuals, on families, in the workplace, it kind of that massive pressure cooker, the steam kind of there were like so many situations. We had celebrity suicides. We knew that senior citizens were depressed. Teenagers were in a flux. So systematically, the entire thing together, and suddenly we realized that it's okay to talk to therapists. Organizations started investing in mental health and wellness programs. These are big churns, big gains out of the COVID pandemic. It would not have happened otherwise. There was a need. The fault lines were there. It was all stewing below the surface. And suddenly, things have to get a lot worse before they begin to improve and get better. And this is another catapult, that we are having this conversation about mental health. We're talking about depression, we're talking about suicide, we're talking about anxiety, and the whole thing. The taboo is off, the stigma is peeled off. Huge shift. So yes, I think we can say very categorically that we have catapulted COVID to thrive physically, mentally, and even spiritually in so many ways. We have confronted our worst fears, the fear of dying, just death, that we can die. And we've never prayed so hard. I mean, I'm talking from experience. Never tried meditating so much for inner peace. People were keeping gratitude journals, the works, everything. So the COVID pandemic, in many ways, I think as a coach, it's a dream run for coaching, because it's thrown a lot of important questions in the air. What should I be doing differently? What do I need to stop doing? What do I need to eliminate from my life? What do I need to start doing? What new habit, new skill, new ability should I learn to get through it? So in this kind of a turbulence, so much is in the air. And, the big question is, how are we going to fall on our feet? So, Aditya, the thing is, what kind of people thrive in turbulence? That's one question which comes up. And more important than people is probably the mindset. What is the mindset which will enable us to not only survive but thrive through an event like this? So we know that the COVID pandemic, something very interesting happened. See, you know this, you're a trainer, you know that how much organizations invest in terms of in training and coaching. There are these offsites which are created. These are staged environment where people go hole up and they unplug, basically. You disconnect with that pace and that frenzied, frantic thing. And you come to a space where there's a pause. And then you get creative with brainstorming, ideas, looking at things differently, coming up with solutions, all of that. And this is exactly what the COVID has done. When the lockdown happened, there was this huge pause. People were initially bewildered. There was panic, then there was confusion. People didn't know what to do with themselves. They were bored. But the interesting thing was that there was this big creative outburst also. If you remember, in the first lockdown last year, we had this entire explosion of a generation of chefs, musicians, artists, writers, fitness instructors, life coaches, therapists. Everybody is creating something. So that boredom or whatever, it led to playfulness. People started experimenting with new ideas. Some people went and looked at their old hobbies. Some people, acquired new hobbies. So this grand unplugging by the COVID, it's again a big coaching moment. You're unplugged and there is no going back to how things were, and you don't know what's there in the future. So it's all here and now. Like that's a big thing we look at, that in the present moment, what is it that I can do? What is it that you can do when there is so much uncertainty? Sometimes all you can do is play, be spontaneous, play, experiment. And we had this huge thing, the Zoom economy, the WhatsApp classes, the Instagram classes. So much went on, and it's still going on, and that's not going to change. We have now this thing which you're doing right now. There's been a big spurt. People have gone online, and we have the audience is sitting there. So there's so much to do. So the ones who were fast and agile and open and flexible, they're the ones who started thriving. And I think now the cue is it's there for a lot of people, that what do you need to do to thrive? You need to get into learning and experimenting and a playful mindset. So many opportunities. Yeah.
So talking of the online learning, we have got Shavik Ghosh, who has just joined us from LinkedIn, and he has asked you a question, and I'll just display it on the screen. Shavik is asking, ma'am, as a student, it has been hard to adapt to the online mode of things. What would you suggest to all the students on coping up with this change. How can we keep our focus amidst all the negativity that's around us?
Yeah, so Shovik, negativity is it's everywhere, it's so what I'm trying, or this conversation is about a way of looking at things. Hopefully, by the end of this session, you'll probably get a little bit of drift of, it's if we treat what's happening around us as a learning experience. You're a student, right? And for students, there's no bigger priority than to learn. And it's not what we are learning in textbooks sometimes, that is really important. These are life lessons. The last 18 months have been life lessons, not only for students, for everybody. We have all gone back to becoming students. Believe me, the biggest of organizations, the leaders are lost. They are bewildered. They have admitted that we don't know. It's being called humility. The bigger you are, the harder you fall. So, and yes, there's negativity. Yes, there's been so much anxiety, so much panic, so much confusion, so much uncertainty. So one of the things to do is actually, even at this age, to develop an understanding which is deeper than what we have been taught, and to go to a reflective space. Get started, talk to people who can help you reflect on what's going on inside of you. So there is stuff going in the outside, and that is going to impact you, but then how do you make yourself resilient inside? And when you make yourself more curious about things, about certain phenomena, and you come into a learning mindset, that sometimes that's the only way. This session is about that. And what is the mindset which we can have so that we can deal with this negativity? Yes, it's been catastrophic. Yes, there have been so many losses, and sometimes the scale of tragedy is it's too hard, and there are no short answers. There are no clear answers. So we have to be patient. But while we are being patient, I think we can come into the space of getting a perspective where we can reflect and learn. And you're a student. Shovik, I don't know if it's not an answer, but it's a start of a dialogue. And I'll be happy to talk to you if you want to engage beyond this session.
So my next question to you is, Suparna, what's your life mantra?
Okay, so my life mantra has been different at different stages, Aditya. Currently, what I figure is life is short. Life is short, and make it count.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many ways of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I really believe that in taking responsibility, that's a key mantra for. I mean, it's come. I have earned it the hard way, because it's so easy to play the victim, play the blame game. It's somebody else's fault. This is the COVID pandemic. I'm not able to scale. I'm not able to do my business because there's a pandemic happening. I'm not able to do because clients are not giving budgets. I'm not able to do this because my spouse is not supportive, or it's my annoying boss, or it's the political leader. They're not taking the right decision. That's why I'm in such a mess. The question to ask at any point is, what is it that I can own up? What is it that I can do from where I am? See, everybody has a sphere of influence. So my sphere could be my family and maybe some friends. And in that dialogue which I have with them, I can try and keep them in a neutral, if not a positive mindset, but combat negativity in that sense. So yeah, take responsibility. It's and we're all contributing. I think one thing, again, the COVID pandemic has taught us that we are so interconnected. And what I do, my behavior, my decision has an impact on yours, Aditya, and yours, Shovik. So we are together in this. And this kind of a collective disaster, we can only catapult to get out of it together. It will take an effort individually. It will take a collective effort. It will be an effort of countries together. This is an era of collaboration. We can't compete. I think that's very, very clear. So yes, take responsibility. And another life mantra, which is my favorite, is that if you want to unlock your potential, look at the interference from within. So look at the inner dialogue, the inner voice. It's called we call it the inner enemy. That voice which tells you you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not young enough. It could be anything. That incriminating self-doubt, the inner critic, which constantly interferes with your best performance. So be conscious of the fact that your best game at any point in time, you are the one who's coming in the way. If you can take care of the interference, if you can recognize that dialogue, if you can confront that inner critic, that opponent, we are our best friend, we are our worst enemy. So recognize that, talk to that person, park that aside, and learn to play a game. So the mindset, it's the mental dialogue, that is always, in my experience, that is the most important thing. Whatever the situation, that's what it is.
And we have got a follow-up question from Mridhu Verma from YouTube. And Mridhu says, what should I do if something is outside my sphere and it bothers me? How do I bring my focus back?
Yeah, Mridhu, very good question. And I must confess that this is something which I have been wrestling with myself. And it's very easy to get sucked into a sense of loss of control because there's so much we don't control. I think, again, if COVID has taught us anything, it's taught us that we don't control. I mean, we'll end up saying that it's China, which is whatever this thing. Then what do you do? It's China. Okay. These people, they're not wearing masks. Then what do you do with that? You don't control other people's behavior. But yes, like I said, you have a sphere of influence. And taking responsibility for your own understanding, your behavior, people who are connected to you, keep the dialogue. I think this is also a time for communicating. There's no such thing as over communication. So reflect, realize, and share with each other, and make that space to expand understanding, and do what you can. I'll do what I can. Like Aditya is doing what he's been doing, and Aditya's been doing amazing stuff. I don't know how many people know that, but his work is phenomenal in COVID times. So yes, we can expand our area of influence. We cannot sometimes control the virus, we cannot control the waves, but we can have a service mindset when things are not right and people need our help. If anything, again, the catapulting through COVID is actually the redemption. The redeeming point has been an orientation of service, the humanity in people, strangers helping strangers. We've just come out of the second wave, and in Delhi we have seen what the only redeeming factor was. There was so much that people did for each other. So in that this thing, it was tragic, yes, but I don't think that people did not realize the goodness which was released in the human heart, and that is the goodness which redeemed us. If anything, if whatever percentage, people were saved, lives were saved, or suffering was reduced, is with people had a choice. Yeah. Thank you, Mridhu, for that question.
And Mridhu has a follow-up question, which I was also reflecting as you were sharing. How do we confront our inner critique? I'm not good enough. My contribution does not make a difference in the ecosystem. So what's your thought on that, Suparna?
Okay, so the inner critique is actually a voice which we grew up with. It's a process, because these are adopted voices. They don't belong to us. But as children, when we start growing up, we hear from our parents, we hear from authority figures, people who mean well for us, that we should be doing this. This is good, good girl, bad girl, that kind of conditioning. In part, there's a lot of social conditioning for women and girls. It's about what girls should do, what women should do. So this is a conditioned voice. It's a borrowed voice. It's an adopted voice. So the very first thing an inner critic can do, when you do that work with a life coach or a therapist, is that they bring you to listen. The first thing is to listen to the voice. And sometimes you can identify whose voice it is. It could be your mother's voice, it could be an aunt's voice, it could be your father's voice, or a teacher's voice, or a cousin's voice who you admire and respected. And when we're children, we don't have a fully developed sense of ego, and we take that voice and we believe in that voice. So as healthy adults with functioning egos, we can relook, re-examine, and see, does it still serve a purpose? It's trying to look out for me. It has my best interest in mind, but is it getting in the way? And if it is getting in the way, then release it. Witness it. Witness the voice. Whose voice is it? What is the motive behind that voice? And how you've outgrown the purpose. So there's a process of releasing the emotional charge around such voices. It's a process, Mridu. It takes time, but realizing a lot of things helps in releasing them. I hope this helps for now. We can again connect and discuss this.
Great. So ladies and gentlemen, if you're tuned in for the first time, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, where every week we bring in curated speakers. And with this, we go in for a short commercial break, and we'll see you on the other side. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. A lot to learn, a lot to explore. And I'm inviting Suparna back in our studio. Welcome back, Suparna. And so we have got so many compliments from our viewers. Mriduna mentioned very good and doable suggestion. Thank you. And we have even got Shavik, who has really complimented. Ma'am, listening to you gives me a very calming vibe. I'm curious to know that how you have developed this tranquil nature, and how can we deal with our problem with an open and a calming mind?
Sure, Vic. This is a process. If some of my childhood friends were to listen to this, they'll have a good laugh, because I've been temperamental and moody and not at all calm. So it's a stage of life thing, but fortunately, I don't think you would take so long to come to this calm state of mind. There's so much. I think today there's so much going on by way of practices, and you can start with very simple things. So I know spiritual sounds a big thing, but come to a space, write things down when you think it's overwhelming. Look at listening to music. There's something which you enjoy. Look at what's your passion area, where you get so absorbed that you stop thinking, because this mind, it's a monkey mind, it chatters, and when there's negative stuff happening, it can get into a loop and it'll keep playing. So look for ways to interrupt that mental chatter. And I know it's a difficult time for young people. There's a lot of pressures, and my heart goes out to students particularly. There's been a lot of strain, but be patient. I think there's something which comes with age, but it's a practice, Shobik, and you can start anywhere. Please feel free to connect with me. I'll be happy to help you. Thanks for that question.
And Kunal has also mentioned a shout out on LinkedIn. Thank you, Kunal. I really appreciate your thought process and your constant support. Great. Now, Suparna, my next question to you is, and this is a very personal question, what events have shaped you, the person you are today? Like you told na, Aditya, it's a process. We gradually, our temperament changes. So, what was that turning point?
Okay, I think I'll combine this with, I can talk about this. It's something, one of the big turning points or learning experiences for me was many years ago in my first business. So I have a design and technology firm. So it was a startup, and a couple of years we had a partner, business partner joining us, and he came from this big brand, and he was a marketing and salesperson, and he kind of took over operationally. And so me, my spouse, and another partner, we were all more creative people, design professionals. I'm a writer, editor. So we were kind of looking up to the person, this partner who had joined us, and we put him on a pedestal. Eventually, it just so happened that, which happens in many businesses, I'm sure you've heard of this before, these kind of stories, that a business partner walks away with all the clients and all the business, and in our case, most of the employees. So that I think was a big. See, initially there was a lot of sense of betrayal. What he did was very unethical, for sure. There's no two ways to put that. And we felt. I remember feeling the sense of failure, a sense of we didn't see what was coming. All of the negative. There's a lot of negativity. It was incredible. So messy at that time. But the realization was that, nobody can do anything with you without your permission. And we had given that power to him. When you put somebody in a pedestal, you minimize yourself and you give your power away. And that's a classic setup for abuse. It can happen in personal relationships. This was a professional relationship. And he did what he thought was right. And it was for us to learn that, how to break the pattern. So to realize, to own up, the pattern, the faulty pattern inside me in this, that was the big breakthrough and a turning point. So, don't sell yourself cheap, value yourself, know what you're worth. And that was a process of knowing. We went to our clients, we started talking. I became the face. I did a lot of client interaction and developed client relationships, client confidence. And then it was, the control, the power, that's a process, you put yourself out there. Till that point, there was lack of confidence. I was fearful. And somebody came and took advantage of that. And moment, I did that, that was the missing thing. And that was a huge learning thing. So yeah, don't wait for anybody to come and rescue you. You can rescue yourself. Develop yourself. Learn. Develop your capabilities. Everything is possible. It's all there for you. So it's again internal. You change your mindset, you look at your own weaknesses and you work through that, work towards your strength. And that'll help you unlock your potential. There was a lot of potential inside me. At that age, that time, I did not see it. So it took me time to see and understand and to have that confidence that, I can do it. And then suddenly, these things don't happen anymore. It was a learning experience. That's what I learned.
Amazing, amazing. And that's quite a powerful sharing. And we have got another comment from Hon. Hello, so true, Suparna. Value yourself and know what you are worth and develop your confidence. Thank you so much. So,
yeah, Matterhorn,
yeah.
the pinnacle. Yep. Thank you.
And my next question for you is on similar ground is, what have you become better at saying no to?
Oh, I say a lot of no's now. See, initially, again in business, when you are unsure that how people are going to value you, you start giving things for free. So in our work, for example, what was expected is that you gave free pitches, free ideas, free concepts. And we did a lot of that in the initial years. Till we came to the point where we realized, no, we are good, we are good. This is the value. And it will not come for free, because the moment I give a concept away, unfortunately, it's a mindset in India. People go to the lowest quote. So they want your ideas, they don't want to pay for it. They want to get it executed. They think, okay, ab to sirf karwana hi hai. So yeah, I think that that was a big learning in terms of, I say no to free. Even as a coach, it's my second career. I've been practicing for 6 years. It's very tempting to initially to say that, okay, let me do it for free and get more experience. And I've done pro bono, but I've kind of made my choices, and I don't do for free, and I don't give easy discounts. I think it is linked to my sense of self-worth and value. I'm very conscious about that. So, I mean, my spouse, he says that, you're very good with self-care and self-love. So I take care of myself, because, with an empty cup, I cannot pour into other cups. So that is a mantra. It's one of my mantras. And I think I have to move beyond that, but yeah, this is what it is.
Great. And Mridu has just commented in the chat, a beautiful learning. Thank you. Makes me realize confronting our fear are the doors for growth. Thanks, Mridun.
Absolutely, Mridu. It is what challenges us that changes us. That's cast in gold. And the more the discomfort, the growth is in that area. So look for your pain points. It's like, going to the dentist's appointment, and he does this probing. So the pain will be where, the problem is, and that is what needs addressing. So probe yourself, allow some trusted confidant or friend or a coach or a therapist to probe you. So I think the moment you diagnose where the pain is coming from, you can address the issue. Thank you.
And Suparna, we haven't met each other. It has been over 2+ years, but I have really seen you transform yourself. So this is my next food for thought for you. In the last few months, what new belief, behavior, habit has most improved you as a person?
Okay, Aditya, I'll start with the easy answers. I've started cooking, and I've stopped shopping. Not stopped, but yeah, breaks on shopping. So, over the years, again, it is a busy time, busy years. And with the lockdown and no maids, I went back to my cooking and I realized that I'd forgotten so much. And I'm a pretty decent cook, so you're invited. I cook well. And I went back to the recipes I looked up now, of course, is online, and asked my mother-in-law and stuff and all. And I remembered cooking, and it gave me that confidence, I could take care of myself, my family. They were happy. They were happier eating what I cooked than what the maid was cooking. And they were very happy when I stopped shopping a lot less, because it did go to the online this thing, but it was not as gratifying. I love shopping at stores. So I think I became more on a sober note, more mindful of the resources. When I look at the kitchen, I'm more aware of the wastage. I look at how things are stored, how we buy, what gets not used. So there's a lot of mindfulness in terms of how resources get used, whether it's stuff in the kitchen, whether it's the money I spend in shopping, and where I'm spending my time. I think I've become more conscious about that. So yeah, that kind of a mindfulness has really changed me. That's one. The second thing is playfulness and experimentation. I recommend that highly to anybody right now, is that please be playful, please experiment. It's anything is possible, but it's the fear factor which holds us back. So in the pandemic, again, I'm born as a pandemic lockdown speaker. I started with webinars, collaborated with other friends and professionals who invited me, and I realized that, okay, I can talk, and it's something which I enjoy. I still battle with my nervousness before sessions. Aditya, you know that. But I like showing up, and it's a new skill, and I like playing with this. Like, this is an experiment, so you don't know, what the rewards could be. So till you put yourself out there, you won't know. So put yourself out there. It's okay. Don't judge yourself. Don't. And other people are nicer. We are our fiercest critics. So there will be resistance. Be ready for that. But yeah, have fun experimenting. That's one thing. The other thing, in terms of habit, it's all more mental habits. I don't keep a gratitude journal right now, but I do say a gratitude prayer most nights and when I wake up, because I've started appreciating what I have. When the lockdown happened, I remember I had this big coaching project. It was taking off, and suddenly, wham, it came, things got cancelled, and I felt so sorry for myself. For months, I felt sorry for myself. I was like, why did this happen now? And then slowly acceptance came in bits and pieces, and I'm at peace now. It took some time. But I started enjoying my new house. I just shifted in. There was garden, there were flowers, so many birds coming. Now it's like a virtual, I don't know, zoo. There are squirrels, there are birds nesting, babies are being born, birds are flying out. So very interesting when you give attention to what is going on around you. Otherwise, I think in our business, we've been so distracted. What the COVID has done is reset the pace. And in this more relaxed space, we are able to, enjoy so many beautiful things. So yeah, that's been one. The other thing, yeah, I think in terms of the way I work now, especially with my other business, where there are teams involved and clients we service, I think what's really helped is getting so much transparency with online working. We know exactly where the bottlenecks are. We know where the challenges are, where people are spending their time. So it's made us more efficient. It's actually improved profitability at a time when the turnover is reduced. But it's things are clearer. There's a kind of a clarity and efficiency which was not there earlier. I would be going to office and I wouldn't know so much that I know today. So I don't know if that's a habit, but yeah, it's something new. So I'm more clear now, and I think that calm word, it's come through acceptance, and when I look and surrender, really, because in the second lockdown, my spouse, he was hospitalized for COVID with severe pneumonia, and I think that was another turning point. That the whole realization that life is so short, and you don't know, we take each other for granted, we take so much for granted. So that appreciation is only when you're, either you've lost or you're about to lose. So that's been a phenomenal understanding and breakthrough.
Even Kunal has a question for you from LinkedIn, and I'll just share with you. Kunal has commented, many firms have come out with a report of increasing productivity during COVID times, but that improvement came at a cost of blurred work-life boundary and increased symptoms of grief, anxiety, and burnout. What are your views, and how should we overcome them?
Kunal, you're absolutely right. So it's not all roses with the remote working. There's just too many issues. That the blurring of boundaries, that's the stickiest piece of what we're dealing with. And when it comes to boundaries, when it comes to being burnt out, you have to take care of yourself. And which is where this whole thing about, talking, what we've been locked up and keeping to ourselves. I think this space, I mean, you reach out for conversations. It helps. Reach out for perspectives. Reframe, what has happened and what is happening. It's in the dialogue with professionals that you'll be able to find meaning. You'll be able to get a sense of control and an understanding as to what you can do about it. You have to come to that space and reach out. And it's okay, now it's okay. It's okay. So there's lots to it, but Kunal, I'll be happy to talk to you.
Okay. And my last question to you is, how can people reach out to you?
Oh, Aditya. So for the moment, it's my email ID and my phone number and my website, which is coming up next month. So yeah, but for now, that's what it is. Would love to hear from whoever needs any kind of support and any kind of a conversation which can help at this point.
Great. And Suparna, please do tell us about your services and the typical challenges for which people come to you for your support and guidance, mentoring, coaching, whatever be the capacity.
Yeah, so in coaching, the typical situations are workplace balance, work-life balance. That's only increased with the pandemic, like Kunal said. Then I work in the area of women leadership. So women kind of deal with a lot of other issues, conditioning and self-esteem and biases. So I work with a lot of women, and I work with leaders who are struggling again with pace. There's a client of mine who's been struggling with adjusting his pace with the rest of his team. Successful executives are very smart in their heads, but it's the head and heart connect. So he's uncomfortable, talking about emotions. So to bring that kind of a breakthrough in lowering guards, in the coaching space, we kind of work in a safe space and get people to talk about what's going on inside first. And the big picture is, unlocking potential and, looking at passion areas. It's also to look at what is meaningful for, in life. I think this has come up in a big way. And I know people who have set up NGOs, set up a strong sense of purpose, that orientation that, this is what gives my life meaning, stuff like that. And a lot of busy executives are also entertaining these questions, what matters really, relooking at priorities, stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, in coaching, I mean, there's so much with people they come for conflict. I mean, sponsors have this thing that there are high potential candidates for senior positions, but it could be a communication issue, it could be a conflict issue with colleagues, could be respect issues. So all the what is called the soft stuff, which is the big thing. So how do you develop that potential, those competencies in people who are going to lead people? So emotional intelligence, that is a big area, if I have to put it like that, why a lot of coaching is done. And that's the request. That is the subtext of the request. Request could be performance. but what's coming in the way? Usually what's coming in the way is the soft stuff. You're not able to listen to people. You're too busy telling people what to do. So that comes in the way. Stuff like that keeps coming in the way.
And Suparna, we have got a compliment from Mridhu, and Mridhu says, very informative and helpful session. Learned a lot, and you gave some clear pointers. Thank you, Suparna. Thank you, Mr. Sisodia. Thank you, Mridhu. You joined us. You made it through the session. It really encourages us to come up with more curated talks around the topic. It's really amazing.
Yeah. Thank you, Mridhu.
Great. And
Awesome
ladies and
question.
gentlemen, if you would like to reach out and you would like to have more such conversation, drop in a message at hi@coachsisodia.com. And before we wrap up the show, I would like to ask Suparna, what's your learning from our today's conversation? It's been a while.
Oh, when you're talking for so long, you're listening to yourself, and you realize what is sitting at the center. What is it that sometimes we have difficulty vocalizing to ourselves? So in this conversation, when I'm listening to myself and I'm listening to other people who are asking questions, it gives me a lot of confidence that the core of the work which we do as coaches, there is a tremendous need and value in the work which we do. And I hope that coaching as an industry grows. So we are able to grow people, develop people, change mindsets, bring in positive communication, perspectives which are growth oriented and learning oriented. So we can break through. We can catapult through any negative event. It could be the COVID pandemic, could be anything, could be a personal tragedy. But it's in reframing our understanding that it's the meaning which we give to what is happening or has happened that gives us that capacity to deal with a lot of things. I think that's what it is.
Okay. Thank you so much, Suparna, for taking your time and sharing your thought with the community members. And as always, it's a pleasure listening to you and learning from you.
Aditya, I would like to compliment you as a natural coach. You believe in people and you make things happen. I really admire you for that and your work in that area. So I wish you all the best and compliments for initiating. This is experimenting again. I love the playfulness and the experimentation, which is why I said yes to it. I said, okay, it's with Aditya, let's do it. So thank you so much for having me over, and thank you for the audience questions. I hope you got something out of it, and it's a start of a conversation and a thought process. Please feel free to connect. Thank you.
Great. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are wrapping up. Next week, same time, same place. We are going to be coming with another amazing speaker. Do stay tuned, and as always, do follow Suparna. You can connect with her on LinkedIn, and do drop her a message. And in the chat, whatever you're learning, do share with us. And don't forget to follow our channel. That would really inspire us to come up with more content. And with this, we'll wrap up this edition of Season 5, Episode 4. See you on the other side.
Thank you. Bye-bye.